Three, two, one. Welcome back. This is the Lightforge Arena tier list valuation stream for Ashes of Outlands. We have done Demon Hunter, Druid, Hunter, and now we are going to do Mage.
Mage.
Mage, the standard arena class from back in the day. So
The
one thing that we
tutorial class.
the tutorial class, yeah. So one thing we talked about with Hunter is that there is like a dozen cards that are like a dozen Hunter class cards that you have to go down before you hit the first Ashes of Outlands card. It's the same for Mage, and in fact, the Mage, the highest Ashes of Outlands cards rated for Mage is not going to come in until a 133.
Oh,
A
only a premium
133,
card.
only a premium card, but not like a 150. Like Hunter's at least got a rare 150 card. This one's not coming into 133. That's so much lower. So right off the bat, you know that Mage is not going to be a powerhouse. Um, Going back a
Until
little,
they super adjust it.
or until mages realize that Conjurer's Calling is back in the meta.
Yep.
Um, but Ashes of Outlands itself is going to add very, very little to the mage's like OP set. There's going to be a good amount of good cards. Like no class is totally screwed by Ashes of Outlands. Like even with Hunter, right? Like there was all like very playable above average cards. Um, Even though they all worked a little slowly with the beast synergy stuff. But for Mage, the highest rated card is actually a dormant card. So here we see, like, the Druid had a good dormant card. The Mage is going to have a good dormant card here. It's a 3 mana 4/5 demon. Dormant for 2 turns. When this awakens, deal 2 damage to all enemy minions.
Pretty good. Good stats. The effect is hard to play around,
Mm-hmm.
slash almost impossible to play around. Um, you're still spending 3 mana and you're not really getting much, and then it gives your opponent opportunities to essentially, play around and try to set up their board to play around this effect to the best of their ability. But the important thing is like it's just really powerful. 2 damage to their entire board is really, really freaking good. So yeah, this is why it comes out to be a 133, which for dormant cards is really high. Like for a dormant card, this is extraordinarily high.
And it's because it does the same thing as that Druid one, or sorry, that Demon Hunter one. Is it the Demon Hunter one? The one that pops back up and deals 10 damage, randomly split among enemy minions? I think it's the Demon Hunter one. But it's similar to that in that it's what you want to do when you're playing it on curve. So you play it on 3 on curve. It doesn't pop out till 5. You lose the board at that point because your opponent gives good trades. But because your opponent's giving good trades, they're going to leave stuff on the board with 1 or 2 health. And this just kills it off before it pops up. So that's what you want. That's how you take control of the board through a card like this. Your opponent could try to play around it, but like Merp said, there's only so much you can do to play around a consecration, especially when you're trying to get the board, right? Like you could more play around a consecration later on in the game, but from turn 3 to turn 5, it's a bit hard. And even if this is the late game, this is a big card. It's a Yeti with a consecration attached to it. Like, so yeah, it doesn't come in for a while, but when it does come in, it's a large card that's hitting the board. And at that point, you really just want like size more than anything else. So 133, it's a good card. Pick it, guys. If it's not up against premium cards. Next up is Star Scryer. It is a 2 mana 3/1 Death Rattle, draw a spell. Very basic. Not going to talk more about it. It's almost on curve for a 2-drop, and you get to like draw a spell.
Yeah, not much has to be said about this, right?
No,
Super simple design, but it's really freaking good. You are essentially just not really using up anything.
like
And
like
drawing a spell is a lot of times better than just drawing a minion.
remember Loot
'Cause-
Hoarder?
yeah,
It's just better.
it's just better.
Just way better. All right, next
Hey,
we have a epic card, Apex Smuggler, 2 mana 2/3. After you play a secret, discover a spell. There's not much to say about it. It's a 125. It's pretty good. It's where stuff like Bad Luck Albatross is. It's where stuff like Nephrosid Ritualist is. Like, it's good. Functions as a 2-drop, has a little extra to it. Next, in around the same area, you have Deep Freeze. So this is 125. This is still better than the average card you'll have in your deck, and definitely better than the average card you're offered. It is 8 mana, freeze an enemy, and then summon 2 3/2 water elements. So water elemental is usually 4 mana. This is 8 mana. You get 2 water elementals, and then you get to freeze an enemy. Like, it has just enough extra stuff to make it worth the 8 mana cost.
Yeah, this is like pretty fair card in terms of, well, a water alley costs 4, so for 8 mana you should get 2 water alleys, but because of the inflexibility you should get a little bit more, which you do because you get to freeze something immediately. um and like we said, fair cards aren't going to be amazing in this meta, but this just like gives you the right amount of everything.
Yeah.
Freezes are nice. 2 water alleys are really nice. 2 water alleys that can further freeze things are really annoying for the opponent. So this comes in at 125, which is like a pretty good score for an 8 mana card that doesn't give you as much as you might typically expect for 8 mana. It's pretty dumb, right? You're like, oh, you're getting what you should get, and you're getting 2 premium, like 4
You're getting
drops
6/12 worth of stats that freeze stuff whenever they touch stuff. And you get to freeze something immediately, and it's like,
yeah. So you should think of this as like, wow, this is really good for 8 mana in this meta of like stupid broken cards. With 8 mana, it's holding its own at a 125. That's really good. That's really good. Yep.
All right, going down to a 120. This is where like your Picrocs live, your Dark Iron Dwarfs. It is Apex Blast, an epic card. So you won't see it much. 5 mana, deal 5 damage. If your deck has no minions, summon a random 5-cost minion. So this has no ability. It's just 5 mana, deal 5 damage. If you're ever wondering what a 5 mana, deal 5 damage card is, it's pretty much this card. And it's a 120. So that's why Fireball is silly. Like, this card should just... It's here to convince you Fireball is silly, because Fireball is 1 less mana and 1 more damage. And so this comes out at a 120. Fireball, by the way, comes out at a 162.
Yeah.
Much better than this, obviously. But this is all you need. Like, 5 mana, deal 5 damage that can also go face. That's a card in your deck that you're happy to have. Next is Font of Power, 116. You are now in the territory of, Wild Pyro, Amani. 1 mana, Font of Power, discover a mage minion. If your deck has no minions, keep all 3. Your deck will have a minion. You just discover a mage minion. But mage minions are pretty good.
Yep. Once again, look, this additional thing of like your deck having no minions, it'll never trigger.
Yeah.
It will almost never trigger, such that we can round down and just say it'll like never trigger.
Yep.
That's basically it.
Whereas you look at, like, for example, the Druid thing, which is it costs nothing once it's 7 mana or above in the set, that's very applicable to the arena. Tempo is always important. You look at the Hunter thing, which is buffing beasts in your hand. That's always important. You're going to always have beasts in your hand in the arena with this offering rate. Then you look at what mages are getting, and it's just inapplicable to the arena. So you're going to see all this kind of fall apart a bit for the mage. Like, it's starting at a low power level. These cards are not averaging out to a power level even on par with what the hunters get. It's a bad time to be a mage. Next one goes all the way down. So we were at a 116. Now we're at a 71. This is Wind Fury Harpy, guys. 3 mana, Netherwind Portal. It's a secret. After your opponent casts a spell, summon a random 4-cost minion. Why?
Yikes.
Why is this card even printed? Like, you could counter the spell.
This can't be like any, like, there's no upside here. Would people use this in Constructed? Like, why is this a random 4-cost minion? By the way, a random 4-cost minion is like, it's less than a 4/4. It's not good. It's like less than a 4/4. So basically, a random 4-cost minion is about a decent 3-drop. Like, it's like a decent 3-drop. That's your reward for them playing a spell. It's just really bad. Like, once they cast the spell, you're gonna get what you should have gotten for 3 mana.
Yes.
But delayed. That's
Yes.
it. Yeah.
And it's random, so that makes it even more terrible for constructed.
Yeah,
like, I don't understand. But anyway, don't take it in the arena. And finally, you have a card, probably with the lowest rated card in this entire set. It is Incanter's Flow. It is a common mage card. You're going to see it offered a lot. It's going to ruin a lot of your offering rates because it is common and it has an offering bonus. It is 2 mana. Reduce the cost of spells in your deck by 1 mana.
Yikes.
So you have to have you have to draw from that point on 2 more spells to just get your mana back, and you have to front load the mana. So I don't know what the break even point is for when you actually like get this value to be like worth it. But yeah, but it's you do hit it because this game goes on for so long now. The number of turns played is pretty high, so you do get to it eventually, which is why it's above a 0. That's why it has 3 points, just algorithm wise. But don't take it.
Yeah.
All right, that's Mage. You should not be excited about playing Mage. You should probably just not play Mage in the upcoming meta, at least not for the Ashes of Outland cards. A lot of cool things are coming back to Mage, or never leaving. Like Arcane Flak Mage is still around. Conjurer's Calling is coming back, but it's at 4 mana now, so it's not like as silly as it was before. Power of Creation is still there. Puzzle Box of Yogg-Saron is coming back. Arcane Amplifier still exists. Like, it's not like Mage has nothing to go on just because Mage is normally good, but Ashes of Outlands is giving it very little to work with.
Yep.
Okay, looking at the legendary set, Mages have some good legendaries coming in, but they're legendary, so you won't see them much. They're basically the same score. One's 172, one's 168. We'll start with Evocation. 1 mana. Fill your hand with random mage spells. At the end of your turn, discard them.
Really freaking good. Look, this is essentially card draw and initiative, both, without explicitly saying so. Lots of spells. So Evocation is one of those in which you could use it like before 7 or 8 mana if you just really need to get rid of something and there's no other way. And if you don't get rid of something, well, you're dead. Okay, sure. Evocation will probably find that for you, which is great, right? Which is fantastic. But in the late game, Evocation essentially means you're using up your turn. All you're doing is using up 1 card to generate much more cards that are permanent because there's ways for mages to card draw or generate cards, and for you to wipe their board, deal face damage, whatever you want. This ends up being a supremely flexible and valuable card in the late game, which is why it is really, really good. But part of the problem is like if you are forced to use it early on, you literally don't know what you're going to get. Like that is the only thing holding it back from like a 200 plus. It is so good otherwise, though.
Yep.
So the more you can wait and the more you can fill up your hand, like on 10 mana, if you only have like 2 cards and this is one of them, this score is like insane. It's like a 300. I have no idea. It's absolutely bonkers insane at that point. But it is random. There is some small uncertainty and drawback, so it's only a 168.
All right, the other one is the Astromancer Solarian. 2 mana, 3/2, spell damage +1. So already a overstated.
Super good.
Super good 2-drop. And then
spell damage is expensive.
Yeah. On top of that, you have a Death Rattle. Shuffle Solarian Prime into your deck.
All right.
Solarian Prime is
a 7 mana 7/7 with spell damage +1. Battlecry, cast 5 random mage spells, and it targets enemies if possible. That's not always a good thing.
For mage spells, it's usually good.
Yeah, until you until you Conjurer's Calling all of their stuff and give them an entire huge board of huge
Hey,
stuff.
at least you get some twin spells back.
I so yes, look, on average, it is pretty good because a lot of times what you want to be targeting is their minions with all of your removal stuff. So it's nice. But this is why, this isn't as high as like the Druid one.
Yeah.
The body is really good. It's still a really good card once you draw it. It's got a lot of initiative, but it's a lot of RNG. It's a lot of RNG still.
Yep. And that wraps it up for the mage. If you're looking at playing a mage, besides not taking our advice and not playing the mage, the mage stuff that's coming in are all kind of control focused. They give you some extra card draw. You're probably relying on some of their power, like normal power cards, to get through, and like to get through to that point. And you just you don't have a lot to work with, like, honestly. So good luck. One thing that is helpful is that in this kind of meta, the mage's hero power is like the best hero power, because warlocks will run out of health for their hero power, and they're usually your competing hero power. And there is now like a lot of stuff that has high attack and 1 health. So your hero power is really going to like be meaningful. And tempo, especially early game tempo, is less important than it used to be. So your rogue and your demon hunter are not going to get their value from their hero power. So as and hunters are hunters. Like, you just don't have that many competitors to good hero power. You have by far the best hero power in this meta. Priests actually can make a claim for it as well, but generally speaking, what you're going to want to do is rely on your hero power, play slow, get a bunch of card advantage, and like intelligently remove your opponent's minions to build up, like, to not lose health while just like having a bigger deck than your opponents.
That's basically it. Nothing from the mage playstyle really changed.
Yeah, just don't try to go aggro. You don't have like,
you definitely don't have
the stuff for it. Like, maybe do it if you like end up with like 2 fireballs pretty early on in your draft, but outside of that, like, it's an iffy strategy to begin with in this meta, and you do not have the support for it the way like a demon hunter would at least have support for it. All right, that's it. You got any shoutouts to give before we move on to the next class?
No, we're not thanking anyone for this video. We're just trekking on. I'm thanking no one. I'm thanking myself for putting up with every one of you guys. Next video, see ya.
All right, well, I want to thank Merps too for being a great partner at the Grinning Goat and doing this video.
Bye.
See you guys.